Ambassador Maria Santos stood alone at the podium, facing the assembled representatives of 47 star nations. The Galactic Assembly Hall stretched before her like an amphitheater of judgment, thousands of alien eyes fixed on the human who dared to disrupt centuries of tradition. Supreme Arbiter Calthor's holographic form towered above the chamber. Ambassador Santos, the treaty before you represents 300 years of negotiation. Every species in this hall has signed. Your refusal endangers galactic stability. Maria's hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained steady. Then galactic stability is built on a lie. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The Velcran delegation hissed in outrage. The crystalline authors chimed discordantly. You dare, Calthor began. Article 7, Section 3, Maria interrupted, her words cutting through the chaos. It explicitly permits the Ctheran Dominion to maintain cultural preservation zones in contested territories. That's not preservation. That's ethnic cleansing with bureaucratic language. The Ctheran ambassador, Lord Vexenar, rose from his seat, his forearms spread in mock indignation. The human speaks of matters she doesn't understand. The indigenous populations are relocated for their own protection. Relocated to labor camps, Maria shot back. She activated her data pad, projecting images across the chamber's walls. Faces appeared, gaunt, frightened beings with pleading eyes. These are the Miralans you're protecting. 40 million of them vanished in the last decade. Your own reports call them processed. The chamber erupted. Some delegates shouted their support for the treaty. Others demanded answers from the Ctheran delegation. Calthor's voice boomed across the noise. Ambassador Santos, you risk isolation. Without this treaty, Earth will have no protection, no trade agreements, no voice in galactic affairs. Your people will suffer. Then we'll suffer honestly, Maria replied quietly. The chamber fell silent. My species spent centuries making peace treaties that sacrificed the vulnerable for the comfortable. We wrote beautiful words that meant nothing while atrocities happened in the shadows. Never again. Lord Vexenar's mandibles clicked with amusement. Noble words from a species barely 2 centuries into space travel. You think your primitive fleet can stand against the combined might of this assembly? Before Maria could respond, a new voice filled the chamber, calm, measured, unmistakably human. She won't have to. Admiral James Wright materialized via hologram beside Maria, his weathered face grave. Behind him, through the transmission feed, the assembled might of Earth's united fleet hung in formation, 300 warships, their weapons hot. Earth stands with Ambassador Santos, Admiral Wright announced. If this assembly chooses to enforce a treaty built on genocide, then consider us your enemy. But I suspect we're not alone. Movement stirred throughout the chamber. The Andromedian delegation stood. Then the Syrians. Then a dozen more. Ambassador Clara of Andromeda spoke, her voice carrying the weight of an ancient civilization. Humanity is young and often foolish. But they're right about this. We've turned away from injustice for too long, calling it diplomacy. Calthor's form flickered with something that might have been uncertainty. You would fracture galactic unity over 40 million lives, Maria interrupted. Yes. Every single time. The vote was called. The original treaty failed, the first such failure in assembly history. Within hours, a new coalition formed, demanding investigations into the Ctheran preservation zones, and real protections for vulnerable populations. Later, as Maria left the chamber, Admiral Wright approached her. That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever witnessed. Maria managed a tired smile. My grandfather always said those were the same thing. He sounds like he was human. Through and through. The galaxy would remember this day, when a single human refused to look away, and her entire species stood behind her, consequences be damned. It was the most human thing they'd ever done.